video on making some corn syrup. Wow, have a faff around trying to make some corn syrup. So I watched a video on like frugal foods, foods that people used to eat in times when times are a little bit more difficult. Although, to be honest, it seems like we're heading that way again. So one of the things was a corn syrup, and how they made this corn syrup was the kernels from the corn after they'd eaten the corn, and then they boiled that up, and then they used the water to make the syrup. So I kind of thought, that's interesting. We'll have a go at that. And I was thinking, well, of course, because like sweet corn tastes nice, doesn't it? And it's sweet, hence sweet corn, and it's a little bit perfumey. So I kind of thought, oh, that would make an interesting syrup. So obviously, once you take, or you could even just use the cooking water. You wouldn't have to take the actual kernels from the inside. No, that's wrong. No, the kernels are those bits, aren't they? The bit that's in the centre. But we'll get there anyway. So I couldn't find any fresh corn on the cob. Well, I could, but it was that pre-prep stuff, and you've got to be careful with corn because as soon as you pick it, it starts going. It's just not as sweet. So I thought we'll use that instead because it's already cooked. We'll just kind of strip the corn from the outside, and then they're not baby sweet corn. They're not really sweet corn, are they? But what we'll do is we'll have a go at making a syrup out of these anyway. So if you were to boil these and cook these, then no doubt we could just make the syrup out of those. So I'm not going to use those for anything else. So we'll just chop them up because I just want to use as little water as possible. And this one's coming out of the packet carefully. The only time that I've never eaten this stuff, and the only time I've seen it used is when a friend came to a barbecue and he brought some of this and just stuck it straight on the barbecue, which I kind of thought, oh, that's kind of quite interesting. See, that liquid inside smells very corny. So that's going to go in the pan, and that's how we're going to cook the corn. So I'll use that just to put the corn on after we've done it. So slice down the outside like this. And then we'll take the bit that's on the inside, which I don't know the name of. Although I probably would do if someone said it. I'd go, ah! That's the name of that. So how do these taste actually? Out of curiosity. Pretty nice actually. Well, maybe I shouldn't talk with my mouth full. Then it's rude of me. So, but I was kind of thinking that if you eat, not when I want to go through that. If you do eat corn on the cob, you eat it with your mouth, don't you? Of course. But you kind of pick it up on the outside, and then you chew. So the only problem with that is that you kind of like teeth and spit and mouth are going to touch the inside of that corn. So you're going to have to give it a wash before we do something with it, which is a little bit, you know, a little bit. I don't know. You're making a syrup out of your own spit, aren't you? Unless you're going to wash it properly, which I don't think. Well, you might have really nice tasting spit, but a little bit gross. So probably best to do it this way anyway. So chop this one up, add some water to that and that pan, boil them up for a bit, extract the flavour into the water, and then we'll make some. We'll make a syrup and see how it tastes. Alright, so they've had about 20 minutes, half an hour. Let's give them a taste. So let's taste the proper sweet corn first. It's nice as that. That's nice as that. What's this like? It's okay, but there's not a lot of flavour there. But there's not a lot of flavour in that baby sweet corn anyway. So strain it, we'll put it through a cloth, we'll bring them both back up to the boil, and then we'll add some sugar. Well, we'll work out how much sugar. Probably 1 part liquid to 2 parts sugar. So if there's 50 grams worth of water, thingamajig water, corn water, sweet corn water. Why couldn't I put, goodness only knows why I couldn't get that word out. Sweet corn water, then 100 grams worth of sugar, and we'll make a syrup and we'll kind of see. We might need to add a little bit of sugar to stop it from crystallizing, if we're to keep it long term, but we'll see how we go. Right, well, let's give them a taste. Although that's a lie, because I've already tasted them, but we'll do it on camera, because that's what we do. Right, so let's give these a taste. This is the one from the sweet corn. Pretty nice, is that? It's pretty nice, is that? Like, I don't... Would someone be able to tell it's made from corn? Yeah, I think, yeah. I think you could, if you had a good palate, you'd be able to tell that was made from corn. How does this one taste? Not as... So that one had loads of flavour in it before we added the sugar. That one didn't have so much flavour in it before we added the sugar. But now that one tastes better for adding the sugar to it. But sugar is a flavour enhancer, so that kind of makes sense. But what we will do is we'll just add a little bit of lemon juice, just so, yeah, I've already taken the zest off these oranges, lemons. I know why I'm thinking of oranges, because I've seen someone making lemonade recently, and they were talking about adding oranges to it, and it was an old recipe, so like a 1800s recipe for lemonade, and some oranges went into this lemonade, and they said it was really kind of quite strange. And I was kind of thinking, oh yeah, because the oranges that they had 100 years ago, 200 years ago, weren't the same oranges that we have today, and they were a lot sourer. They were quite sour in flavour, so they would use them in lemon juice, because in lemonade, because they were sour. Like, to make lemonade now with oranges would be orangeade, wouldn't it? With a little bit of sharpness from the lemons, so you get more of the orange flavour kind of coming through. But anyway, so that's why I was thinking of that. So just stick your fork into the lemon first before you give it a squeeze, just to break it up a little bit. And then what the lemon juice will do is it'll stop it from forming crystals. And also, it just lemon also is like a bit of a flavour enhancer. So just that little, but it's an acid. So things like vinegar and lemon are flavour enhancers, in the same way that salt and sugar and MSG and all those type of things are, and umami things as well. So with just a little bit of lemon juice will stop it from crystallising, and just lift the flavour just a little bit. So if you're going to use it straight away, it doesn't matter that it's but I can just feel on the outside that it's already almost wanting to start to crystallise kind of quite quickly. So that's not just where the sugar hasn't melted, that's where it's wanting to crystallise. So I am using the same spoon, but you know, there's not going to be that much flavour transfer due to just that small amount on the spoon. So taste this one. Nice, and nicer for lemon being added to it. And this one, just mix it around so we get the flavour off the spoon from that one. Nice. So it's a corn flavoured syrup rather than corn syrup, because corn syrup is, I don't know how it's made, but it's like high fructose corn syrup, isn't it? So I imagine they take the corn and they extract the sugar from it, and that's how they make sugar syrups that go into soft drinks in the USA, whereas different countries around the world use different types of sugar. This one just happens to be flavoured like corn, not actually a corn syrup. yeah, so like in Mexico, they use cane sugar. So people talk about the way that the difference in flavour between a cane sugar and a high fructose corn syrup makes things like Coca-Cola taste. And then in the UK, a lot of our sugar comes from sugar beets, which are a type of beet, like a beetroot, like a turnip type of thing. That's where a lot of our sugar kind of comes from. And then different places around the world get their sugar from different kind of places, which obviously change the flavour of things. But anyway, that's off subject, isn't it? So that works, and it's a really good way of using something up before you put it on the compost. So I don't know if you were, I don't kind of know what scenario you would be making lots of sugar syrup, but that's what you'd be kind of doing. Now that's interesting. So I tend to think about things on the go, and that's kind of quite interesting. That what we could do is, so there is moonshine, which is made from corn, isn't it? Like mashed up corn, and they extract the sugar and the starch out of, well, the starch turns into sugar and vice versa, not vice versa, but they extract the sugars out of the corn and then ferment that and then distill it, and that's what makes moonshine. So moonshine is a corn-based alcohol, and then vodka is a potato-based alcohol. And if I remember rightly, watching the Great Escape film, they made vodka from potato skins. So after they peeled the potatoes, they kept the skins and they fermented those and made vodka out of that. Isn't that poitín as well? Is that Irish? But anyway, so what we could do is we could take the corn, centre bits of corn. Is it the husk? Corn husks? No. Corn cob? The cob bit of the corn on the cob. And we could take those. We could not puree them down, but chop them down and some kind of pulverise it, and then boil it up in water, and then use that water that is saturated with the residue starch and sugars from the corn, and then you could turn that into moonshine. So there we go. That's kind of quite interesting, isn't it? But anyway, that's completely off subject. So yeah, corn flavoured syrup, that works. So it's a success. I don't know what practical uses it has whatsoever, but I'm going to use that in a syrup sponge. You can see I need to add some more. Lemon juice to that, because it's already starting to crystallise on top. So that's not a skin forming, that's actual crystals forming already. So it certainly needs a lot more lemon juice in that. That's just out of interest, is that? So more lemon juice, and then I'm going to add them both together, and I'll use them up in something. So they're not going to go to waste. Don't waste anything. Well, I try not to anyway. And then anything, by the time you've extracted all goodness and profit out of things, then we can put it in the compost or in the bin.